Baby, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Y'all, this Demi Lovato Dancing with the Devil documentary has me so shook. I'm about to break out in tears right now. No BS. Demi Lovato, how are you alive? How, sis? Let's go ahead and get into it. For those who do not know, it dropped today, Eastern Standard Time at 3 p.m. Demi Lovato's 4-part series, part 1 and 2 of Dancing with the Devil. So we're going to go ahead and go apart and get apart the Losing Control, part 1. The second part of the 4-part series, 5 minutes before death. Let's get into it. For those who do not know, Demi Lovato is a multi-selling platinum album singer, songwriter. She's a Disney star. Had her own career in 2018, came to a halt due to her drug addictions and disorders. Trigger warning, those, if it's too touchy, I understand. Those who can stay here, please do. I would love to get into some things. She starts off in the documentary. They're about 22 minutes long. They're opening up, showing us basically back in 2018, before July of 2018, when she had her overdose, the infamous overdose. They're setting the stage and letting us know that while she was on tour overseas, she was filming a documentary. And this is going to be a never-before-seen documentary, but they're showing some of it kind of throughout the part 1 and 2. So we get to see a little bit. But they ixnay it in the end, y'all, because it was all a lie. Demi was not even sober. So everyone starts off and they're miking everybody up, and her family and friends, everybody's like, we're really going to do this? We're going to talk about Demi? Oh my God, we're really going to do this, huh? Wow, we're going deep, huh? I can't believe it. So everybody goes in to say that they're so surprised that basically everyone's here and we're going to talk about what Demi has went through. So long story short, they go ahead and they get into what her drug of choice was. We all know that it was the pills, it was the Oxy, it was the Xanax, it was different things that she was taking. But they kind of give us a insight into her personal life, and they started to talk about her father. They said that Demi's father was an alcoholic. They had an estranged relationship. And they said that he did pass away alone on Father's Day. And each day leading up to Father's Day, when they found him, she thinks about him being left alone. And is this the day that my father passed away? Is that the day my father passed away? So already this is extremely sad, and I feel very bad for Demi. She goes on to say that EDs run in her family, eating disorders, and that her mother, this was something that her mother struggled with. Her mother had a Xanax addiction as well as an ED as well. So addictions definitely run in her family, and y'all should check research. It is very, very possible that kids can pass on addictions that family members have as well. The addictive personality, all those things are makeup, very much so possible. I didn't know that her family had such a deep, especially her parents, literally her blood parents, did have drug abuse and different abuse issues. So that was already kind of like, okay, interesting, Demi. She goes on to tell us that she would do pageant shows, and she said if she won this one pageant, for example, that she would stop eating. So that's when she would literally starve herself to be a certain way. And they go on to show the clips of her during Disney Channel times and, different things, and just seeing like she wasn't really herself. So with that being said, after her sober journey, so from 2012 to 2018, Demi Lovato was sober for 6 years leading up into her infamous overdose, for those who do not know. So during this journey, she started to trickle back into her old ways. Everyone just talked about how extremely unhappy Demi was. Everyone felt like they were walking on eggshells. Everyone had to watch what they're eating. Everyone had to watch what they're saying. People could obviously not do any type of drugs, recreational or not. It wasn't really in an enjoyable work environment. She was coddled for 6 years. So this made her extremely unhappy, already dealing with the demons that she was already facing, that she thought that drugs would be the only escape for her. So she says that she was 6 years sober and her sobriety was miserable. She remembers thinking one day, what am I even being sober for, she says. She said that she drank a glass of red wine one night, and then within 30 minutes, she was already hitting up her old dealer. She said that night, again, warning, she did meth, she did Molly, she did coke, she did weed, she did Oxy. She brought her friends over. She had a game night, and her best friend caught her in the bathroom doing heroin. And her friend, who was also her sober partner at one point, Went on to say that she seen Demi in the bathroom, zonked out. She was like calling for her. Demi wasn't answering, and she just remembers seeing the foil. So she just said that she knew at that point her friend, she couldn't do it anymore. She remembers she just stayed there with Demi to make sure like nothing happened to her. But again, Demi was already going back to her old ways. So at this point, Demi's already spiraling out of control. Again, she goes back on tour. She's in Bali. And then this one, she writes her song, Sober. This was a song that they pushed for a very long time during that time. And this is when she wrote the song Sober, because she realized when she was in Bali, obviously you can't bring any type of narcotics, any type of drugs there. You will get arrested for life. Not that risky, right? With that being said, she couldn't have anything there, so it was completely a sober experience, and she knew that, hey, this was her life. They show clips of her in Amsterdam with her team. She's drinking heavily. Everybody knows Demi loved to drink. She said she liked to do uppers and downers. The night of her overdose in specific, she said that she was very good at hiding what she would use. She said at that point she was on crack and heroin. And then later on in episode 2, she goes on to say that she usually did coke and Xanax, an upper and a downer. But her drug dealer, who allegedly did a lot of other things to her, he told her he only had the harder drugs, which was the crack and the heroin. She said she went to a party with her friends. Everyone told her, what's up? We're having a good time. But, my mom's here. Her best friend later goes on to say in the second episode that they decided to go home. And Demi said that she was up till 5 in the morning. And then she decided to hit up her dealer. So that's the very first part. That's the first part, and that's when a precursor, now what? What's going to happen to Demi with the whole actual day of the overdose. So my thoughts on this first part of losing control. It was very sad. I felt like Demi's life was pretty much over when it came to her being sober. So it wasn't like she had a fulfilling, beautiful, fun life, not just because she wasn't on drugs anymore, or she had her ED under control, but because she still wasn't living within her truth. She still wasn't truly happy as she is now, not just being sober. And it just shows all the money, everything she had, she was just still very much so unhappy. So let's not wait any longer, and let's go ahead and get into part 2, when they talk about how she has 5 minutes to live. So they go ahead and say that her assistant, they recall her assistant, her beautiful black assistant, very cute girl. It's like, okay, Demi got a black assistant. Okay, Demi. So her assistant goes on and says that like she's knocking on Demi's door. Yo, Demi, what's up? Are you here? Like Demi said she had a doctor's appointment really early that was important to her, and Demi wasn't answering. So she's like, okay, Demi's probably drunk, usual Demi, whatever. So she kind of leaves it. Then she goes on, she's like, Demi, hello, like, what's up? So she said that she opens the door slowly, and it was cold and dark in the room. And she goes on to see that Demi was not breathing. So she freaks out and she calls the security, who it seems as if her security almost seems like a chaperone and a father figure to her out in LA. So they hit him up, and he basically, which I don't know why they didn't call 911 first. The assistant didn't know what to do, so she called the head of security. He told her to prop her on her side. They seen that it was vomit all over the place as they come on their way. So the assistant says that at this point Demi was not breathing, she was turning blue. So when everyone is coming upstairs now, they said her chef and her other friends and assistants were there, whomever. The assistant goes down and she says she sneaks and she calls 911 because she just didn't know what to do, which she should have. So the 911 operator goes on and they tell her, the sirens are coming, but someone's like, yo, don't bring the sirens. But they're like, forget the sirens. Like, we're trying to cover up Demi's ass here, but we need to make sure that we're saving her life. So they go ahead and cut to the next bit where it's the parents and her mom and her stepfather are sitting there, and they're all, getting the call, and they remember the mom sitting up and saying, is she okay? But is Demi okay? Is my daughter okay? Is she all right? And the sister remembers, she's like, yo, I just had to go put on my clothes and it was time to go. And then the security guard calls the father and they talk, and he says, is Demi going to make it or what's going on? And they said they'll know within 24 hours if Demi is going to make it or not. So then they go ahead and switch over to her best friend in the whole wide world, the girl with the blue hair, if you watch the documentary. She felt so bad because she had to go to New York, and Demi wanted her to come out and hang out with her other friend for the birthday party, and she told her that she couldn't come. And the friend, remember when she landed, everyone was like gasping and freaking out when their phones got off airplane mode to find out that in the middle of July, Demi Lovato has had an overdose. So that's how the friend found out, and she was saying it was just so surreal for her best friend, to be that way. So now they say that Demi had 3 strokes, a heart attack, brain damage from a stroke, and now she cannot drive and she has blind spots. She said it's to the point now where sometimes she'll have a glass and she'll try to pour something in it and she misses it and she can't see. So that just messed up her whole cognitive ability. Her parents said that if they didn't find her within, those 5 to 10 minutes, then she would not be here. But they also made a point to say that Demi couldn't recognize her sister. And I thought, oh my God, did Demi get brain damage and have amnesia? But come to find out, Demi was legally blind when she woke up. And they had to go back in and fix up whatever they had to do for her, and she could only hear her sister's voice, and her sister was like, she's like, who is this talking to me? And the sister thought that she didn't recognize her, but she couldn't see her. And her parents remember saying that you won't be able to see your sister if you don't go to rehab back in 2012. And it was almost verbatim what happened. It wasn't literal, not being able to see her, take her away, but she wouldn't be here on this earth. But as we see, thank you Jesus, it was not Demi's time yet. Are y'all still here? Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. So when the public found out, that was something Demi was worried about. She was really worried about why my light went out here. So everyone was really worried about, why, what happened. And, Demi asked her mom, did the world know? Her mom told her, but everyone loved her and just wanted her to be okay. And I remember during this time, everybody wanted Demi Lovato to be okay. We didn't want anything to happen to Miss Demi. It's Demi Lovato, right? We didn't want anything to happen. Her parents told her that, when she went to rehab, she wouldn't be able to see her sister. So at this point, now she made it her point to kind of find out, what was I doing? How can I not make these steps happen again? And what happened? So the interviewer finally asked her, I get it. People smoke joints, people smoke weed, whatever. But what made you go to the harder drugs? And she said her prior cocktail, as I said a little bit earlier, was the Xanax and the cocaine, because it's an upper, which is the cocaine, and a downer if you know anything about drugs. She said she was looking for the harder drugs. She wanted to try these things. They intrigued her. She tried harder things like the fentanyl, the crack, things of that nature, the heroin, because she was just looking for a stronger high, to feel something that even a high wouldn't help her achieve, because of how she felt on the inside and all the issues she had. So the night of her overdose, they said her one blonde friend came up and said that they had a good, clean night. It wasn't that bad. They partied. They did TikToks. They went out. Demi was begging the friend and the other friend not to leave. She was asking the girls not to leave. And they were like, no, Demi, my mom's in town, please. And then they kind of hesitated. It looks like Demi's doing well. She offered us Perrier water. But they kind of hesitated when they left. And they were 5 minutes down the road. They're like, should we have stayed? Was something weird? And they're like, I don't know. Something seemed kind of too perfect. And that was the night that they did question, should they have stayed or not, and that was the night she OD'd. Now, this was something, trigger warning, this is going to talk about SA. Demi goes on to say that, moreover, more than her just having her drug dealer who she invited over to give her these things, he provided her with coke, crack, whatever, laced in fentanyl. If you guys have not seen Euphoria, that's what Zendaya's character got zonked out on. Fentanyl is no joke. One of the strongest drugs you can literally take. With that being said, she said it's very spotty, but when she got to the doctor, they asked her if she had had consensual intercourse, and at that point she realized that he did take advantage of her that night. Take it for what you will, and it was not consensual. The SA things that happened between them. So we find out that during her overdose, she was already taken advantage of, and he literally left her there for dead. And then you see they show one small snippet at 8 a.m. of the man leaving. And I just want to know who this drug dealer is, but apparently she's had relations with him before or whatever. And he literally took advantage of Demi Lovato and left her there for dead and laced her with fentanyl. And then they go on to show, kind of clips of Demi, forgetting her words and, different accounts of, just seeing how Demi kind of became zonked out during these times. And it was interesting. They had her doctor there, and they said that, somebody who had all of these issues, all of this organ failure, it was not expected for Demi Lovato to survive at all by any means necessary. At all. It was literally not her time yet. Her friends were making jokes she made it to past the 29 club. That's when a lot of famous singers, Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain died, passed away at the age of 27. And she made it to 28, and it was just not her time yet. my final thoughts on the first two parts, I'm like, because what else could they possibly tell us, right? This was horrible. This was so sad. I literally sat here and cried, y'all, during this. I could not believe all of these foul things happened to Demi Lovato. We only knew a percent of what happened. And it is so crazy. And all I can think is just like, a lot of these things, a lot of these issues she still had, you know, growing up, they were handled, but it was still like she just still wasn't happy. And now she was having the treatment, you know, that she needed, and she's starting to find her inner peace. And she said it even took until quarantine, you know, like a year after all that, for her to really realize where she needs to be. So I hope Demi is where she, you know, where she wants to be. I'm eager to see what the rest of these other two parts are going to be about. Maybe her relationships, more personal relationships, because I still know it's a lot more to Demi Lovato than that, and, you know, whatever I said. So yeah, it's just a lot to process, and it's crazy that all of this happened, but I'm not surprised. We always knew that Demi was a party girl, but, you know, it wasn't just she was on drugs. She was very, very troubled, a lot of troubled, you know, family history of addiction. All these things affect us, and I hope that Demi, you know, just stays off. But hey, that's a lot of pressure to be a celebrity, to be a normal person, and to be sober. People are expecting this from you. DJ Khaled's like 6 years sober. Yeah, you the best. And it's just like, you know, a week later she overdoses. So it's just like, we can be celebrities, we can have money and be rich, but that doesn't always bring happiness, you know? I would love to know what y'all think. I'm on my way to 800 subscribers. Please hit that subscribe button. This was an absolute beautiful. I thought YouTube is doing a great job. I'm excited to see the last two parts, so let me know if you guys want me to talk about those, and we'll get into it. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.